Good morning, welcome to the Cwm Ystwyth Mines. Now, we are here today in the top end of the Cwm Ystwyth Valley, and we're here just for a brief explore of the Cwm Ystwyth Lead Mines. Now, before we get started, I'll just show you quickly where we are on the map and tell you a bit about the area and the local history. The Cwm Ystwyth Lead Mines were some of the most important in the district of Ceredigion. These were a premier example of the mining heritage in Ceredigion, and the mining started in the early Bronze Age. This continued up to medieval times. However, shortly after this time they closed before a revival in the 18th century. The activity peak in the mines declined by the late 19th century and the early 20th century. As we see on these maps, you can see the main areas of the mine and its workings. Here we are at one of the three mills at the Cwm Ystwyth Lead Mines. Now, as you can see, there isn't much of this building left. However, the rear wall, which we're heading towards now, is almost completely intact, and as you can see, the archway is still here, and the same on the other side. Now, these both lead through to the areas where they sorted out or divided the ore from the rock. So up here you can see where the water used to come rushing down. Now, the water would come down this side and on the other side up here, and they would use the power of the water to wash away the rock with power tools and other parts of machinery, such as this here, which used to hold one of the large water-powered drills. As we zoom out of this video here, you can see the lovely bricks in this arch here, and these have been standing for about 200 years, maybe a bit less, but as you can see, these are still fairly intact, and there's only a few chips taken out of them here and there. As we walk over to the other end of the wall, there are two more insets into the wall. This one here, I'm not too sure, if I turn, I'll show you now. This one here, I'm not too sure what the piece of machinery is on this floor here, but I'm assuming it has something else to do with the weights which held back the drills on the other side. As you can see, there's half a timber left on a 35 to 45 sort of degree angle. Now, this second arch here, similar to the one on the other side, slightly differently laid out. However, this is a similar piece of machinery in, and this, as I said before, it is a power drill tool. Well, it's where the power drill would have gone. And again, this is where the water would have come down to feed the tool. So we're now heading up to these two impressive, well, very impressive structures. Now, as we move over to this, you can see there are several grates over the floor just to protect visitors from falling through. However, as we move up to the towers here on the right, you can see how tall these structures are. Now, these structures here were used, when the ore was brought in from the mines. So just behind these buildings around the other side, which we'll go and have a look at in a minute, the ore would have come in right over the top. Unfortunately, you can't see this from above. However, I have read online and read about it a bit in a book where this came in. So as I said, the ores came into the top, and these ores were then controlled by doors underneath to allow the workers below to drill out the parts that they needed to sell off with the water drills, which we saw. So you join me now as I walk across this short little stream here down the sides of the mountain. Now we're heading towards another of the remnants of the buildings on this site. Now this one that we're walking towards now, this was the Powerhouse. So back in the early 2000s, a group of enthusiasts, all of which were volunteers, came along to the site and reinforced a lot of these buildings with these sturdy steel beams, which you can see in lots of the buildings, which is why they're standing still today in their former glory. Now that hole there in the wall you can see towards the left of the camera, that used to be where all the hydraulic pipes went through and the electricity from the drills and the water wheel. Now just to the left of me here, I shall post in a picture in a minute or two, was where the hole was. You can see it just here now. That was where the wheel went. Now it was about, I can't remember the exact measurements, but it was about a 30 or 40 foot wide wheel. So it was quite a big thing, and it powered the entire site of the mine until the early 1900s, when hydraulic systems were put in. So you join me now as we walk towards the more modern, I suppose you could say, side of the mine workings. So you can see there's quite a lot of water we have to cross first to get over to the buildings. But what we'll see when we get over there is the newer site manager's house, so the owner of the mine, and also there's a small surprise, or shall I say big surprise. So we're now walking towards the big surprise that I said before. So as you can see on the left here, there is this lovely archway. Now this hides, right behind it, the entrance to Level Vawr mine shaft. So, without further ado, let's take a look inside. So, when I went to visit the mine, I didn't capture any video of the inside, so here is just a montage of photographs I took inside and outside the mine. So this is what I had to crawl through to get in. It's about a 2-foot wide modern pipe, about 5-6 feet long, but once you're through it, you're into the mine. So after crawling through that pipe, you go through about knee-deep high water, which is about 1/8 of a mile, and then there's this cove off to the right where there's a mine cart. Now this used to go vertically down a shaft, which we'll see later on. You can see here some of the impressive rails which have stood their time and are still here, rigid and sturdy. This is the truck that you could see just at the top of that previous picture. You can see the main bar which held the opening swing door, where all the ores would have been tipped out once the minecart reached outside. At a different angle you can see the wheels underneath, and also you can see the bottom of the hatch. It really is an impressive piece of engineering. This is one of the ladders which took you up to about 30 feet higher, past 3 more levels of cutting. Unfortunately it didn't go up here, that was due to safety, etc. However, you can see that it really is impressive and it has stood its time, much like the rest of the mine. You can see these timber beams holding back all those years of work as well. This is the vertical shaft that I was talking to you about before. So here it has been boarded over for safety. However, the minecarts would have gone directly up and down this continuously all day. Moving over to the right, you can see there's a little recess which went all the way down, similar to where the minecarts went, and that's where the men would go down to work. You can see a hole just there where the ladder would have been mounted. I'm not too sure how long, but when I dropped a stone down the main cart hole, it took about 5 seconds for the sound of it hitting the bottom to come back. You can see the rungs on another ladder, and they are pretty rusty, however very sturdy and certainly look impressive. This part here, the rock all caved in the 1950s. However, in the early 2000s, much like the reinforced buildings outside, some volunteers came along, propped up some steel posts, and it's nice and sturdy. You can see some more of these timber struts holding back all that rock. These were usually brought in by a pair of men, one at each end, and similarly you can see the same beams were used in other places, such as this bridge, which takes some of the track across a dip where they were mining for some other ore. This time it was not lead, it was iron, I believe. At the top of this picture you can see one of the ore chutes from the levels above. This has really stood its time, and you can see all the bits of iron on it. Unfortunately I couldn't get a close-up picture, but it was very impressive, put it that way. You can see some of the ore leaking through the rock here. This is some of the lead. So back outside, this really has been a fantastic day, and wow, what an experience. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you for watching, and wow, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.